All right, so we go back to public supports, read over it again. The funeral for the four girls got a lot of attention around the U.S. Thousands of people, including more than 800 clergymen of all races, attended. Martin Luther King was also there and spoke at the event. He encouraged people to keep working towards civil rights. He hoped that if they had worked hard, enough crimes like the bombing would no longer happen. And the investigations of the crime was done poorly and took a long time. At first, the state of Alabama offered a $52,000 reward for the bomber's arrest. 25 FBI agents came to work on the case. Part of what made the investigation hard was the lack of evidence. A lot had been destroyed with the church. Finally, the FBI discovered that the bombers were four members of the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK. Their names were Taman Edwin Blanton Jr., Herman Frank Cash, Robert Edward Chambliss, and Bobby Frank Cherry. Unfortunately, the case was closed in 1968. The men were never arrested. Problems within the FBI's administration were to blame. Lay to rest. There was a new attorney general in Alabama in 1971. He started looking into the case again, digging up old evidence. His efforts helped convict the groups later. Robert Chambliss was sent to jail in 1977. The rest of the men were freed until 2000. Then the FBI reopened the case. Bobby Cherry had died, but Thomas Blanton and Herman Cash were convicted in 2002. Call to action. The bombing at 16th Street was terrible, but it was also very important. People were able to see how bad racism really was. The event was part of why President Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act in 1964. After the act, it became harder to treat people poorly based on the color of their skin. So let's go through these questions. Number one, which statement best summarizes the central idea of the text? Now, we've talked about central idea a lot. It's basically the theme. A, there were a lot of bombings in Birmingham, Alabama in the 1950s and 60s. B, churches were often used as meeting places for civil rights leaders to organize and hold events. C, the deaths of four young girls in a church bombing in Birmingham sparked massive protests against racial discrimination and brought racism to national attention. D, Lyndon Johnson passed the Civil Rights Act in 1964, which made discrimination against people for their race, gender, religion, or nationality illegal. So what's the central idea? What's the main? Because some of these might be valid and correct, but they're not the best summary of the theme for the text. Number 2, in paragraph 5, the author explains that at 10:22, the teenage Sunday school secretary got a phone call. The person delivered an ominous message saying just 3 minutes. Why is this detail important? A, it tells us what time the bomb went off. It implies that there were children in the church at the time. It shows that the people in the church didn't have any real warning about the bomb and didn't have time to get out. D, it means the bomber made a mistake by setting off the dynamite too early. So why is that detail important? Or which of these answers has that important detail? Or it states the importance of this detail? Number 3, which statement best describes the effects of the four girls' deaths? A, there was a very small funeral service that only the girls' families attended. B, many people attended the funeral and Dr. King gave a speech telling people to keep working hard for civil rights. C, many people went to the girls' funeral, but most Americans didn't care that they had died or that the church had been bombed. D, the funeral was used as an opportunity for Martin Luther King Jr. to tell the community to stop fighting for civil rights or else more people might get hurt. And we're going to stop there and I'm going to pick it up on part 3.